That
Hello,
is pretty good.
everyone.
God damn it.
My name
Wasted an 18.
is Ira Faye, and I am the Codex Keeper, but I'm also the organizer of the free online Sorcery League that we run through Tabletop Simulator. And we're actually on season 8. This is the finals of season 8. And we have Mothraelite, who's Naveed, on the bottom here playing Archimago, and also Geoffrey on the top, also playing Archimago. Now, these decks are not identical. There is certainly some variation among these decks, so we'll see. And it will also be really, I just want to acknowledge that these players are have gone 5 games in the top cut. This is a 32-person top cut. I guess this is game 5, and this is single elimination top cut, best of 1. So we've played about 6 or 7 weeks of regulation play, and then after regulation play, there's a top cut. We do use the second player seer rule. So we just saw Geoffrey look at his top spell. And you might have noticed that he saw Death Dealer, which is obviously very good in a against decks with a lot of minions, but he chose to put it on bottom. It's a little interesting because we can see that Naveed actually has guards in his hand. And, had he kept the Death Dealer on top, that might have been a pretty significant late game play. Now, Archimago is obviously a control style deck, and we see them staking out their territory. They have no concerns bringing out, these initial sites to try and stake out territory, because both of them are going to try and get up to probably, 6, 7, 8, 9 sites if they can. And we're seeing that Naveed started with a common sense for a common sense, which is obviously useful strategy for an Archimago player when there isn't a lot of pressure on the board, because it allows them to build up their discard pile, cemetery. And we do see that the initial minion from Geoffrey gets killed right away via the magic missiles, but that does give Geoffrey, some card advantage. Both of these players are trying to build up card advantage against each other. Geoffrey is perhaps, I'm not sure exactly what he is looking for, but obviously, wow, that was a great card for Geoffrey to see the brows. That's an extremely powerful spell. And it's going to let him use his mana very efficiently this round, because he had 2 mana for the blink, but then he's going to have 1 extra mana for the brows. I'm a little surprised by not browsing first, just in case he, got something that was more relevant that he wanted to play other than the blink, but I can understand this too. I think we're going to see the brows now. I don't see why he wouldn't play it with the 1 remaining mana. Very interesting. So I'm actually surprised by that. Perhaps his thinking is that maybe that 1 site that Naveed was holding in his hand was a funeral pyre, and he didn't want to lose the brows to a funeral pyre. He wanted to be able to cast it twice. So there are a lot of decisions in a control matchup, and we can see that Naveed is already starting to use his Archimago's ability, getting a 1 card advantage so far, using common sense to find a leprechaun. And we can see the power of these leprechauns, that they're simply, ongoing card advantage. If you kill them, then they get to draw you get to draw a site, and if you don't kill them, they start to get in for 2 damage. So it'll be interesting to see if Geoffrey prioritizes killing that leprechaun. He does not have he does not have. What was I going to say? Um, I'm not really sure. I was right. So yeah, neither of them have a site. So actually, the issue with um, the issue with perhaps not playing the browse because of the funeral pyre, you're less concerned once your opponent is top decking, because there are just fewer chances of them having top decking sites, fewer chances of having the funeral pyre. So we can see Changer Prometheus still doing some work against Naveed, and in particular, maybe handling that vampire. Uh, Getting the common sense for the blink to be able to continue to draw cards, and now Naveed's Archimago is in position to disenchant that change of Prometheus, which could turn on the Dapril Vampire. So when you're playing a control deck, the strategies that you use and the decisions that you make, you have so many opportunities to make so many different decisions. And we can see that Geoffrey right there chose to draw a site, even though he had a site in hand, because he wants to make sure that he's using his mana efficiently. And we can also see that Naveed is trying to keep his front line a little bit more defended, perhaps, and not going too wide when he didn't have to. All right, so now we're seeing. Let's see what he's picking between. I'll also search 7. So these are his choices. Many interesting choices here. We'll see what he picks. Yeah, that was certainly a good one. So one of the things that you need in a control matchup is card advantage, and we can see that Geoffrey is prioritizing that. If he continues to draw cards, then he will be able to all right. So he's just trying to deal with the logistics of tabletop simulator. Sometimes it's often nicer to get to play in person. All right, so he's casting browse twice. We can see him avoiding any risk of funeral pyre. This is interesting. What would you choose here? Let's see what he. Whoa. I didn't actually catch what she took. Okay, so that's an interesting choice to me. Obviously, Craterize, it does a lot of damage, but the enemy Archimago is a little bit closer. So I guess Geoffrey is planning on moving back, maybe moving back to site 5 or square 5, and then craterizing on 13. So we can see the efficiency of guards here. It's definitely going to give some significant advantage to Naveed if these tokens remain on the board. Obviously, Geoffrey needs to quickly get up to 8 mana. He's not going to have a solution for these units this turn. I think he needs to draw a site here to be able to play a site on this turn 6. And then turn 7, he's going to draw a site again. So I think he's going to blink himself to the corner. And then we're going to, maybe he gives away what's happening. He might just choose to blink himself into site 10 and hope that, take a little bit of damage and not telegraph the craterize too much. So maybe he's just willing to take some damage. I'm a little surprised at this. I would be inclined to save save the blink. I would have been inclined to save the blink. I mean, save the Grandmaster Wizard, blink myself to 10 so that next turn I can craterize right away. Because right now you're going to have to craterize and take quite a lot of damage. And he is going to be taking 6 damage here. So that is far from nothing. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get another guards. I kind of think we're going to get another guards right now. Maybe we don't, in case he's worried about craterize. Maybe he's playing around craterize. I mean, that would be pretty, like, this is an opportunity, if you see, for Naveed. He's pushing the advantage right now. There are a bunch of minions on the board that he has that his opponent does not. And I'll be quite curious to see what he chooses to do here. I think that I wonder if that Grandmaster Wizard was the right option, because he could have Geoffrey could have, like, magic missile, reduced some of the stem the tide a little bit, and blinked himself into the Gnome Hollows or something like that. We'll see. All right, so Naveed is getting closer, and now he's going to guards again. We're going to see. Okay, so he's not overcommitting to the board, and he's just continuing to build up what he has, because he doesn't expect that maybe Geoffrey's going to top deck a Funeral Pyre, which obviously would be quite good. Yeah. So this lets him. Oh, I guess the Funeral Pyre wouldn't have mattered, because he needs to play. He needs to play his tower to get to 8 mana and craterize this turn. So probably all of the minions, all of the foot soldiers, except perhaps the minion on 10 is going to die. We'll find out. Mothra is going to get to draw two sites. Right. Yeah, and I don't know if you heard, but Naveed said, I thought you had it, because of the site draws. Typically, at that point in the game, you might be more inclined to draw spells, but seeing the site draws gave Naveed a guess that perhaps a craterize was coming, and therefore he didn't play the guards. So these are the sorts of decisions that you get to make many, many times over the course of the game. And we also have not seen, maybe Geoffrey was trying to get to a divine healing. We've not seen any healing from either of the players so far. There is a vampire that yeah. So that is certainly the power of Craterize. It'll be interesting to see if Geoffrey regrets the lack of Death Dealer, because obviously that would also be another efficient way of handling this. The foot soldier, there is one foot soldier that survived. So I guess Geoffrey does not have any other no spells in his cemetery. So I think we're going to get another guards. And then we get a second guards. Yeah. So Naveed is thinking carefully. Do I want to get rid of my my disenchant, or do I want to get rid of what? Basically, Naveed gets to leave one card in the end to replay the guards. And, control decks obviously can be extremely powerful. If for instance, Geoffrey was playing Druid. One of the reasons why I think Druid has been quite a popular avatar for many reasons, but the fact that you could have the thorns on the flip side. So when the Druid flips, it deals damage to any minion that enters, and when you summon, you are entering. And so if, for instance, you had a flip Druid, all of these token shenanigans just don't work. They just do nothing. And so it tends to turn off a lot of these token strategies for Archimago, which I think is really great that there's counterplay. And we've seen, for instance, I just recently got back from Gen Con. At Gen Con, the top table was Druid against Druid. And these Archimago strategies certainly can work. It's a powerful deck, but there are counter strategies as well, particularly against these token strategies. So what would you do here as Geoffrey? He has 9 damage, 10 coming his way with the Archimago. So he's starting with a... That's interesting. I'm surprised by that. I guess he's trying to get a Poison Nova. I'm a little surprised because this actually prevents him from killing... I guess we'll see what else he does with his mana. I would have somewhat expected drawing a sight to get to an even number of mana. Maybe he'll blink. Maybe he'll get a blink now. Does he even have a blink left in his deck? I think he needs to... I guess he's trying to draw into healing. Interesting. So he's going with Border Militia. And it's a little surprising to me if he knew that he was getting Border Militia. Why didn't he play his sight onto 15 a little while ago? So these sorts of decisions where the sight placement and those sorts of choices make a huge difference over the course of the game. We can see that Naveed is not going to be able to play the Fields of Camlan at this point. That would certainly be unwise. Geoffrey is preparing to try and stabilize with Border Militia. And now we finally see the first Funeral Pyre of the game, which will likely get something of Naveed's. And you could imagine Naveed is so close getting him down to 0. But I don't think he's going to make it this turn, looking at what he has. And he's trying to calculate Berry, Grapple Shot. Is it enough? And I think he gets him down to 1, because by my count, he has 9 Foot Soldiers and an Archimago. So that's exactly 10. Wait a second. What about, can the Root Spider Grapple Shot play a Root Spider Grapple Shot to get 2 more damage? I think he's still 1 short, literally 1 life, right? Because 3 Foot Soldiers trade with 3 Foot Soldiers. Archimago can attack for 1. That gives 7 damage from the 6 remaining Foot Soldiers, plus the Archimago is 7, plus a Root Spider and Grapple Shot is 9. 9. What a game. I mean, I think these are, I know that some people have expressed that Archimago is perhaps unfun. But for me, I mean, I'm a control player. I love control games. I mean, I like combo also. But like this is incredible. Like he's getting him down to one if he wants to, like if he could, but it's not death's door. And that's a huge difference. That's a whole extra turn of Geoffrey trying to find a solution, trying to find any sort of healing or other sort of defense. So it'll be really interesting to see how much does does Naveed push right now, because he could get him down to one, but maybe there's not a real difference between 1 and 3, and so maybe you save your grapple shot this turn. You don't put him at death's door now. You play, I don't know, play out the vampire and just see what happens. He might be worried about infiltrate, but he has the root spider to be able to break the infiltrate. So I'm guessing, maybe I've missed something, but as far as I can tell, the calculation is that Naveed can get him to so this is interesting. So Geoffrey has the chance so has the chance to defend and inflict extra damage on the Archimago, but then would right. But if you defend with the other foot soldiers, you would end up only losing one foot soldier, but doing extra damage. And Naveed gave him that chance to make that mistake, which would have absolutely been a mistake in this case, even though you'd get more damage. It would then allow Naveed to get him to death's door this turn. So the sequencing of your choices as you're playing is really important. These two players are extremely skilled. They've won multiple different tournaments. Naveed has won I think season 5 of the league. I know Geoffrey. I don't think Geoffrey has won a league before. I apologize, Geoffrey, if you have won a league. But this is just these guys are very, very good at this game. So we're seeing some attacks. Let's make sure we count them properly. So he's just doing the guaranteed attacks right now that can't be defended against. Okay, so I'm glad they're keeping things precise. And the site placement, I wonder if Geoffrey is regretting his site placement, because not only did he get one fewer foot soldier, which absolutely could matter, but also they're more spread out for craterize. So the fact that the avatars are right on top of each other, and Geoffrey has less, Geoffrey has less life, is actually quite significant. So Naveed is playing around the additional craterize because it's not really going to be useful. Maybe so. What we just saw Geoffrey take the one life because he's worried about gigantism, I think. And if he takes one more, now the berry was already played, and so we don't have the opportunity for a grapple shot. Now that's interesting. I'm surprised that he ended up defending that one. I guess he's just worried. So we can see how close he was if he had any sort of magic missile or anything like that. But Geoffrey lives to another turn. We're going to see him cycle quite a few cards with Blink, with Power of Flight. And, I'm reflecting that Geoffrey did a double browse and stacked, I think. Oh, interesting. So we're not even seeing the root spider being played. I guess he's worried about divine healing followed by a craterize, so he doesn't want to lose his root spider. I'm a little surprised by that. But again, these guys are playing at a very high level. And we can see that Geoffrey is thinking what to draw. So he really needs healing at this point to have any chance, I think. Though maybe he's trying to just calculate, can I attack, magic missile, get him to death's door first? I don't think he has enough mana to do that. Um, Maybe. I mean, if we count the attack, let's see. Count the attack. That's 1, putting him to 14, followed by magic missile, lightning bolt, magic missile. That's 9, 10. That's not quite enough. So he's starting the power flight. See what he draws. Root Spider is not going to save him. So at this point, is he top decking for a Divine Healing, a Poison Nova, something like that? Yeah, the choices, early on to play that Grandmaster Wizard when he did, maybe that was right. But he has so many cards in his hand right now. I guess he was just trying to get to a Divine Healing. I guess we're going to see maybe another Border Militia, followed by it's not gonna be enough. What's amazing is that right now Naveed does not have a death blow if he uses the grapple shot. He probably will be fine. There are many ways for Archimago to get a death blow. But it does not look like Geoffrey is going to manage to avoid going to death's door next turn. So he's trying to figure out, at least can I get Naveed to death's door quickly? And he's close, but he's not going to be able to do it this turn. I'm not exactly sure what I would do here. Maybe blink. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he has plenty of common senses in his hand. I think he's worried about. He knows. So right now he has 1 mana left. I'm not sure. Let me double check. Geoffrey, how much mana do you have remaining now? Okay, thanks. Yeah, so I guess he was looking to get Divine Healing probably. Without that, they're starting to analyze now. So, there were definitely some choices along the way here that led to this situation. I also think we're seeing the power of. Okay, so he got rid of 1 more minion just in case at some point there's a Pillar of Zeros. Yeah. Double guards, pretty good. And the fact that Naveed slow played it a little bit, right? There was a turn where he could have played guards again. And instead, what he did was disenchant that, change the Prometheus, get another spell in his cemetery. Um, but of course, it did risk potentially a funeral pyre, getting rid of the guards. So okay, I'm interested to see where the fact that Geoffrey is um, blinking to site 9, and at the moment, I guess the Archimago will be able to grapple shot in. So I would have, at what point do you sort of let the um, let yourself go to death's door, but at least set yourself up to put them at death's door next turn? Because at the moment, even with this, Geoffrey is not getting Naveed. If by some miracle Naveed can't put him at death's door, then then could you at least get him onto death's door the following turn? Sorry, I was thinking at the same time. I don't think there's any way for Geoffrey to stop the death blow at this point with grapple shot from the Archimago. So I think this was an example of what happens if you don't get a lot of healing, and your opponent plays guards twice. Then for 9 or for 8 or 9, then that can end the game pretty fast. Maybe, I mean, if Geoffrey had a lot of mana, he could play. Okay, sorry, they're calling me for a judge question. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yes, intercept is a thing for sure. Yeah. So I think we're going to see. So it looks to me like if we had a root spider. So actually, Geoffrey, with the stuff on the board right now, Geoffrey could play a root spider under 10, a root spider under 9, and then attack into. So he could attack the foot soldier. But so this is a minor misplay. He could attack the foot soldier and kill it because it's disabled. It would not strike back. So uncharacteristic but very minor misplay. Yeah. So this is not going to do it. He needed to play the second root spider under 9. No, I guess even that wouldn't have done it. It didn't matter. Oh, Crater Eyes also would have done it. Grapple shot for the win. Yeah. Very interesting. So a lot of choices along the way that led to this point. Obviously, getting the guards was significant. But if you remember way back when Geoffrey took the Grandmaster Wizard, he had the option, I think, at one point, instead of taking the Crater Eyes, he had the option to get guards.
Too painful to banish the Crater Ice from my graveyard to do that, but I think I definitely should have. I was like, I just need one Nova, and I have one turn to dig. It just didn't come up.
Great game, guys. Yeah, that was. I really loved watching that. There were so many decisions along the way. Obviously, neither of you saw any healing the whole game, which was very interesting.
Yeah, because I'm close to halfway through my deck.
Yeah, you shuffled. You shuffled with common sense.
Yeah, yeah, that is right.
Yeah, and you bottomed Death Dealer at the very beginning. Naveed had guards in his opening hand, and then you bottomed Death Dealer, and I was like, oh, he might feel bad about that.
Yeah, I think I almost always bottom Death Deal. I actually wasn't sure if Moth was going to be on some kind of tokens because, I know they come in and out of lists sometimes. So, yeah, I felt like I just wanted to dig towards the good stuff and not keep the one card that is good if he has the one card.
Makes sense. I was surprised that you kept Crater Eyes instead of guards, right? Didn't you have a choice between Crater Eyes and guards on your second browse?
I did. I think guards enables cards that are otherwise dead in his hands should he have them, like Poison Nova. So, and I'm sure it's the same for Moth, right? Like guards is amazing if your opponent doesn't have the answer, but if they have the Nova to like immediately wipe the guards away, it's not that good. Whereas Craterize would help me set him back a turn in mana as well. And since I had the tower in hand, I knew I could get that out like a bit earlier than usual. So I could see guards being the right play. I just felt like if he has it, I'm just re-enabling cards that are otherwise dead in his hand.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. I think even in that context, I think Crater Ice was the right choice for you because you effectively set me back 2 cards for one, and I think you were up so many cards with Wizard too. Like you were in the control position. I was the aggressor because I was
Yeah.
running out of cards.
He We were discussing that a little bit during the game, Ira. I don't know if you caught that. I think I did make a pretty big mistake. There is a turn where I think I'm on 7 mana and I have a choice to make, which is I either draw a sight and then I can go common sense, border militia, and then reborder militia, because then I would have the 8 mana. Or, and at the time I'm feeling the guards pressure, etc., etc. Or I go for a spell, and this is the more high risk, high reward option, where if I hit a Nova or if I hit healing, then I'm good. I have way more time and I'm already up in cards. And I think I made the wrong choice in going for the spell. I should have probably gone for the double border militia, and he's still ahead on tokens at the end because I get 6 out of it, and I think you had 8 on the board at the time, and you can also clear one of them with your head as Archimago, but it was it was definitely the right choice, and I think I made a mistake there.
Yeah, I was also surprised by your placement of this pebbled paths over here instead of to 15, knowing that you had the border militia coming. Or even if you poison Nova, it keeps his minions a little more concentrated because this way he was able to spread out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm not sure why at the time. I think because I think when I do that, I maybe already have Crater Eyes in hand, and so I think through, well, there might be a word where I can actually pressure his mana by going up in his, completely cutting him off from my side of the board and potentially slowly eating away at his side of the board later.
But doesn't
Um,
playing here
yeah.
pressurize his mana more? Like this actually, if you
Uh,
playing here actually takes away a sight, but playing here does not take away a sight from him.
ye- yeah. Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Well, the game is complicated. There are many decisions along the way. You guys are obviously extremely skilled players. It's a pleasure to get to watch you pilot these decks. I mean, there's so many little choices at every moment. Just the early game with the leprechauns was really interesting, and seeing those choices. Yeah, just a pleasure to watch. This was a great game. I mean, I know some people don't like Archimago, but I think it's a really fascinating archetype, and really enjoyed getting to watch you guys play. Thanks so much.
Yeah, of
Thank
course,
you.
it was very fun for me too.
Thanks for organizing the league as always.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you in the next season. If anybody, we'll include deck lists in the description, and if anybody wants to join the league, it's totally free, and we'll be starting up the next season relatively soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.